Hello, my name is Dr. Norma Thomas, and I'm the co founder of StoryJoy, whose basic purpose is to help people who are part of underrepresented, marginalized groups to live their best lives by telling their stories. My daughter, Dr. Raina Leone, who is also a co founder of StoryJoy, asked me to deviate from talking about the history of Uniontown, Pennsylvania, and Fayette County to talking more about my own genealogy research and how I got interested in discovering the Black history of the region. So I'm not sure how I started with family research. It may have stemmed from the fact that my daughter did ask me to write down the family stories because she said that when me and my siblings talked about family stories that we did it with such joy. So, first, I'd like to say I'm not a collector of things, but I did begin to pull together some of the historical documents along with some of the ephemera, which is that big word for stuff that people collect that's not supposed to hang around forever. So, I put together a lot of that information after my parents' deaths. I'm not a trained genealogist, so what they always tell you to do is, for my reading, is to start with yourself. And so collect information about yourself, your birth certificate, any documents that you can find, your siblings, your parents, and then keep going backwards. I had learned from a cousin of mine to put all that information in order. And so, if you would see the binders at my house, you would know that I had binders of information on both sides of my family. So, I also pulled together things like parents' birth certificates, grandparents' birth certificates. I went to Social Security to get their original applications because that lists parents' information, death certificates. All of this information used to be easier to obtain, but now with the fear of identity theft, it's getting a little harder and a little more expensive, but you can get history, especially now that so much of it is online. So I began my research looking into my mother's family. She was born in Saluda, South Carolina, and lived most of her life in the city of Columbia, South Carolina. She met my dad when he was stationed at Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina, but at some point they moved to Columbus, Georgia, on a military base where I was born. I found out quickly that searching her side of the family was going to be a little more difficult because both sides of her family were born into slavery. So at some point, I moved to my father's side, which is where we have most of the stories about my ancestors. I also did DNA testing through African Ancestry and Ancestry.com, and my brother did the same. So on my dad's side, I'm 35% European, 1% indigenous, and the rest West African, mainly Nigerian, Cameroon. My mother's side has a high percentage of European DNA as well, 30% from England and Wales and Ireland. My dad's side is England and Wales, which verifies stories on her side of the family, and the West and the rest of her ancestry, my ancestry, is Nigerian and Cameroon. People on my dad's side, as far as we know, were born free. So DNA testing can reveal a whole lot, but I always caution people, since we know that that information can be shared, that if your family has secrets or if you have secrets, you may not want to do DNA testing. The African side of my dad's family migrated from Virginia in about 1840, but it appears that the European side came up much earlier to the Uniontown Hopwood area, hence why I have been researching that area where I now live and where I was originally from. So it's surmised that they left Virginia because Virginia had passed a law in 1839 that said whether you were free or not, you were going to be considered slaves. So my family, needless to say, got out. The searching for family history inevitably led me to start looking at the Black history generally of the Uniontown Fayette County area. Somehow you could not gather history on my family without gathering history on many other families in the area because many of us are related. Through a program called Family Tree Maker, I now have about 5,000 names of family members from all over the country. And unfortunately, it's not as easy to do your historical research on families like Henry Louis Gates Jr. makes it seem on the show Finding Your Roots. I've twice hired a genealogist and was a little disappointed in the results because they went no further than I did. And a genealogist has now told me that if you're going to hire such a person, you want them to be from the region where you are doing your research. My daughter and I, this last December, actually went to South Carolina. We went out to Saluda and places around Columbia. We traipsed through historical societies and libraries and graveyards and state records places. And the interesting thing is the um, most comprehensive information was found in the trunk of my aunt, my mother's sister, which had a whole history of her side of the family, my grandmother's side of the family, going all the way back to us being able to put together the slave master. And we also were able to go to a church that my great grandfather founded, and he founded that on land given to him by his slave master. So, apart from all these discoveries in DNA, I claim all of my roots, European and African. But I choose to be African, and it continues to be important to me to learn more about the history of those ancestors than all the others. And although I've been to East Africa, I hope one day to get to Nigeria or Cameroon. African ancestry told me that I am from the Tikar tribe in Cameroon. And so it is wonderful to know where you belong. That in fact these are some of the people that I originated from. The journey to complete my family story continues. In Fayette County, Pennsylvania, that history crosses paths with an American Indian chief, crosses paths with George Washington, and makes other twists and turns. And when driving through Saluda, South Carolina, my mother's side of the family, I kept wanting to yell out the window that this was my land cultivated by the blood, sweat, and tears of my people. So please begin your own journey. I've decided to get trained as a genealogist so I can better research my history and help others research theirs. If you would like more information on my process, please see the contact information at the end of this video. If you are from the Uniontown, Hopwood, Fayette County region, there actually are a couple of African American genealogists, and I would be happy to give you their contact information. Thank you for listening, and we will have additional videos soon about history in the Uniontown, Fayette County region. Thank you.